Shattering the myth of fixed identity is where the journey begins, confronting the stubborn illusion that personality, talent, and limitation were poured into concrete during childhood. Identity only masquerades as permanence because its stories are rehearsed on endless repeat, yet neuroscience proves the brain remains pliable well into late adulthood, less a marble statue, more a restless river. To reinvent yourself, you loosen your grip on the labels that have felt inevitable: shy, bad with money, procrastinator, and recognize them as mere scripts. The moment you decide biography is not destiny, curiosity replaces certainty, and an internal jailbreak occurs. Track every I am that crosses your lips and ask who authored it. Most self-descriptions are inherited hand-me-downs from parents, peers, or obsolete versions of you. When that myth cracks, possibility floods in, transforming you from noun to verb, an unfolding process upgraded by choice. Auditing the present reality follows, demanding brutal honesty about where you stand. Mapping the now begins with a 72-hour life inventory, logging every waking minute, dollar, and emotional spike. Patterns appear: midnight energy vampires, dawn doom scrolling, impulsive Amazon splurges that bury savings goals. Extend the audit to the private theater of thought. Record the loops, the shame triggers, the pride triggers, gathering data like a field scientist. Seeing 5 vanished streaming hours in black and white jolts harder than vague guilt ever could, and the resulting high-resolution snapshot becomes a launchpad for deliberate redesign. Engineering, a North Star vision turns vague hope into architectural drawing. Choose a date exactly 3 years ahead and script the ideal day from first light. Who lies beside you? What work absorbs you? How strong your body feels? Which numbers glow in your bank app? This sensory blueprint primes the brain's reticular activating system to notice aligned opportunities and ignore distractions. Translate dreams into metrics. Net worth figures prove financial freedom. Mile times confirm marathon mastery. Post. The blueprint where your eyes cannot avoid it. Clarity magnetizes behavior, while ambiguity scatters motivation like loose change. Deconstructing and sequencing. Your goals transforms grand vision into scaffolding through reverse engineering. Starting at the goal and stepping backward reveals the first domino you can tip today. Preserving momentum because each small win clearly advances the larger mission. Identify the critical few tasks that deliver the majority of results in sequence. Them logically. Handle the financial leak that saps energy before obsessing over fitness form. Schedule tasks on calendars rather than to-do lists, and watch ideas turn tangible. Mastering keystone habits installs simple behaviors that unleash ripple effects across life. A fixed wake-up time, a daily 30-minute sweat session, or a nightly digital sunset improves energy, focus, and discipline in one stroke. Design cue routine reward loops so the trigger is unavoidable. Running shoes by the bed, journal on the pillow, and track streaks with visible chains of red X's too precious to break. After a month, the habit becomes self-propelling evidence. That reinvention is already underway. Curating an empowering ecosystem shifts the emphasis from willpower to environment. Remove physical clutter that whispers distraction. Place growth tools, books, dumbbells, water within reach, and cultivate a social circle whose default setting is ambition over excuse. Audit digital feeds as ruthlessly. Unfollow accounts that breed comparison or outrage. Subscribe to those that educate and uplift. When surroundings echo vision, discipline feels like homeostasis rather than struggle. Building anti-fragile mindsets prepares you for inevitable resistance. Stress inoculation rituals, cold showers, high-intensity intervals, public speaking drills teach the nervous system to stay poised under pressure. Cognitive reframing turns obstacles into curriculum by asking what each setback trains you for. A wins ledger recording every triumph, however small, counters the brain's negativity bias, and Viktor Frankl's reminder, that meaning survives suffering, anchors hardships as side quests, never dead ends. Measuring, iterating, and scaling replaces drama with data. A monthly retrospective reveals what advanced you toward the 3-year vision and what faltered. Celebrating gains delivers dopamine that wires repetition. Diagnosing lagging areas uncovers whether strategy, skill, or mindset needs adjustment. Goals evolve as you evolve, preventing stagnation. And once a system works, automation and delegation free up bandwidth for higher-level growth. Protecting energy and recovery acknowledges that transformation is an endurance sport. Weekly digital Sabbaths, nightly wind-down stretches, and quarterly solitude retreats recharge the asset, you. Honor ultradian rhythms. Work deeply for 90 to 120 minutes, then step away for 15. Monitor biofeedback, HRV, sleep scores, mood logs, to hear whispers before they become screams. A charged battery amplifies every other effort. Embodying the new identity seals the process through integration. Identity statements beginning with, "I am the kind of person who," compel your brain to act in harmony with its declared self-image. Public commitments raise psychological stakes. Mentorship and legacy projects let your gains ripple outward. One morning you realize the loop no longer feels stale. The mirror returns someone vivid, purposeful, unmistakably alive. Reinvention achieved. Orchestrating emotional mastery is the next frontier, because no transformation endures when hijacked by reactive emotions. The upgraded self is not emotionless, but emotionally fluent. You begin by naming your internal states with precision, not just angry, but resentful, irritated, disrespected. Neuroscience shows that naming emotion tamps down its intensity, giving you space to respond rather than react. Journaling becomes your training ground, your lab for decoding emotional triggers and their origins. Then comes emotional transmutation, converting jealousy into motivation, fear into curiosity, pain into poetry. When emotion becomes fuel rather than friction, your inner weather stabilizes and your output compounds. Designing your hero's narrative links your journey to story. Structure so potent, entire industries use it to sell soda and sneakers. But this isn't fiction. This is personal mythology. You recast your past as preparation, not punishment. The betrayal becomes the lesson. The detour becomes the forge. The humiliation becomes the gatekeeper to grit. You begin telling the story of your life as if you're the protagonist of an epic still unfolding. And something miraculous happens. The brain begins to align its choices with that narrative arc. Motivation becomes mythological. Doubt becomes a plot twist, not a disqualifier. Balancing dual realities, being fully present in the now while emotionally living from the future, is the subtle art that distinguishes reinvention from delusion. You still wash dishes, answer emails and file taxes, but you carry yourself like the person from your 3-year vision. Your future self becomes your internal mentor, guiding your daily micro-decisions. What would they choose to eat, say, do? You begin dressing for that version, speaking for that version, managing time as they would. It's not faking, it's rehearsing until rehearsal becomes reality. Disarming the inner critic is where many falter without knowing why. That voice, disguised as logic, humility, or just being realistic, is often the ghost of a teacher, parent, or peer who didn't understand your fire. Starving it begins with awareness. You give the critic a name, a tone, maybe even a cartoonish image, and watch it shrink under the spotlight. Then, you replace it with an inner coach, firm, not cruel, accountable, not abusive. The critic withers. When you praise progress out loud, when you speak kindly to yourself in moments of setback, when you refuse to inherit someone else's self-doubt. Celebrating micro-identity. Wins makes the path addictive. Reinvention stalls when milestones are distant and invisible. But when you acknowledge every moment you chose water over soda, spoke up in a meeting, saved instead of spent, you reinforce the shift. You take selfies not for vanity, but as visual proof of effort. You write down 3 wins each night to overwrite the brain's negativity bias. Momentum becomes visible. Effort starts to echo. Identity change becomes internalized through repetition, not lightning bolts. Committing beyond emotion, showing up regardless of mood, cements everything. You decouple behavior from how you feel in the moment. You run even when it's raining. You study when uninspired. You show up for therapy on hard weeks and harder ones. This emotional divorce from commitment is not cold. It's devotion. A love that shows up not only when it's easy, but especially when it's not. Every action becomes a vote for the person you're becoming. Now that you've walked the terrain, loosened old labels, mapped your now, envisioned your future, built the scaffolding, installed the systems, shaped the inner world and the outer, what's next? Here's how to apply this in real life starting today. Set a timer for 72 hours and conduct your life audit. Write down everything. Time, money, thoughts, moods. See the truth, not the version you assume. Print or write your ideal 3-year day and tape it above your desk. Read it every morning and night. Pick one keystone habit and tie it to a daily cue. For example, stretch right after brushing your teeth. Track the streak on paper. Remove 5 distractions from your environment. And replace them with 5 tools that reflect who you're becoming. Schedule one small, uncomfortable action this week that aligns with your North Star. Make the call, hit the gym, have the conversation. At the end of each day, write down 3 wins. No matter how small, reinforce momentum. And last, craft. A sentence that begins with, "I am the kind of person who..." Write in the comments, "I am the kind of person who reinvents relentlessly." Repeat it, live it, own it.